First of all, I'd like to greet Mr. Richard Mills, chairman of the Asia CEO events. I was actually telling Regine that I've been receiving emails from you for the past year since I was in the Department of Agriculture. So it's good to see a face matching the emails. Mr. Rebecca Bustamante, the president of the Asia CEO events. Of course, thank you for Regine for inviting me today. And your wonderful mom, Rosemary Rafael. We have VIPs and executives from the audience. We have Marcelina Ichon, President and CEO of Aspen Philippines. Is she here right now? Yes. Rosemary Basa, the Vice Chairman of Kiel Philippines. Maybe I shouldn't, okay, I'll maybe go straight to my speech so that you can already listen to my speech. Of course, you also have, I think Jana Stanfield, CEO of Keynote Concerts, will also be our fellow speaker. Colleagues in the government, stakeholders of travel and tourism, friends from the media, thought makers, and social media influencers, most importantly, advocates of women empowerment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Or maybe just ladies, because I see all women. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to the Asia Women's Summit. On behalf of the Department of Tourism, allow me to express my gratitude and congratulations to all those who have made this event possible. You have all done a great job in organizing this gathering of women of substance, women of significance, all truly empowered women. Today is a special day for all women as we roll out the Asia Women's Summit in a country where females have not only once but twice led the nation as presidents, where a woman once led a historic revolt against colonialism, and where the women of a town took up the struggle for educational reforms in the 19th century. Inspired by the courage of these women, of these feminist icons and pioneers, I dare say that the 21st century is our time. This is the age of empowered women. At this point, when women too are your CEOs, senators, congressmen, government officials, and award winners. It's about time we break the glass ceiling and banish the tired stereotypes of women as the so-called weaker sex. Now we stand strong and proud as decision makers, global achievers, and champions across many fields. Today, we will have the privilege of hearing the stories of influential women from here and across the region. My fellow Filipinas and Asians, a roster of empowered women who will be sharing with us their success stories and passions in life. I am humbled and grateful to be part of this year's Asia's Women's Summit. You see, even before my current role as the Department of Tourism Secretary, I began building my dream of showcasing the Philippines to the world through my longtime advocacy, which is sustainable living. It all began when I joined the Department of Agriculture as an Undersecretary in 2006. Over the years, I handled a range of duties at the DA, from special concerns to admin and finance, and finally to agribusiness and marketing. But most importantly, my stint as the DA Undersecretary allowed me to go down to the grassroots and meet with our farmers. It allowed me to immerse myself and obtain first-hand information about the situation on the ground, helping me understand the needs of our farmers and fisher folk. Oftentimes, the job wasn't easy. It demanded me to climb mountains, cross seas and rivers. You would see my legs all bruised up because I would always fall in various parts of the country. But it also gave me the opportunity to see the natural beauty of our country and experience the warmth of our people. While I was at the DA, I became an active participant of the slow food movement, which works towards the preservation of local food cultures and traditions. It is about food that is grown sustainably, prepared in a clean and artisanal manner, fair to producers and consumers, and considers the environment's preservation in its preparation. Even back then, I was already an advocate of sustainability. I was also designated as the chairperson of the DA's Gender and Development, which seeks to pursue the mandate of fulfilling the rights of women to food security and productive resources. Under RA 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women, this law requires all government agencies and LGUs to allocate at least 5% of their budget to programs, projects, and activities for women. The implementation of the MCW in the agriculture sector is a major step towards the recognition of rural women's contribution to food production. Women's contribution to the agri-fishery sector is often undervalued due to the misconception that women are mere assistants or subordinates of their male counterparts. Hence, they have limited access over resources, government support, and have limited participation and representation in decision making. On the contrary, women play a major role in food production as they participate in all the stages of value chain. They are also known to possess traditional knowledge and techniques in preserving traditional indigenous varieties of planting materials such as seeds. Case in point, 90% of the farmers in the Cordilleras are women, who are seed keepers and protectors of traditional knowledge in growing this high-value crop. One major accomplishment when we were mainstreaming the GAD in the DA, before I took over, we have to allocate 5%. We were only allocating 2%. And the men in the Department of Agriculture was telling me that it's quite impossible to reach the 5%. But under our time, well, I went around the country. We're proud to note that more than half of the DA units exceeded the 5%. It even reached up to 10%. We had to teach the men the value of women. Actually, yes. Case in point, when you, because I've already harvested coffee, cacao, they're all women. For coffee, the only ones that really harvest the coffee are the coffee cherries. The coffee cherries are all women. Because in a bundle, you only have to harvest only the red cherries, not the green. The men normally just remove everything because they're not patient. But the women lovingly choose only the red cherries. Even in cacao, it's all women. You can see all the major. Actually, I was surprised even in the Cordilleras, I've been there for more than 20 times, except for carrying the bushels. It's all the women who plant, who harvest, who sort the seeds. So this is really a matriarchal society. And as I've said, since I was in the Department of Agriculture for close to 12 years, it gave me a chance to go around the country because I probably visited hundreds of farms. And it made me see the beauty of the country. I remember a few years back, somebody asked me, is your dream, since you've been in the Department of Agriculture for so long, is your dream to become the DA secretary? And I said, no. I said, actually, for me, the best job in the world is the DOT secretary. And then they go, why? I said, no, because I've been around the country. I've been to Tawi-Tawi, all places. And seeing all these farms, I saw the beauty of the country and how beautiful it is. And I said, wow, the DOT secretary has probably the best job in the world. And who would have thought that after close to 12 years, Actually, I was in shock when the president first asked me. I actually said no. I said, no, I'm happy. I'm already happy with the DA. I've been there for 12 years. And then he asked me again. And then giving me all this thing about corruption, etc. He actually even did a background check on me. He goes, the first time I asked you to be the DOT secretary, you said no. I did a background investigation on you. And I was like so shocked. He goes, in your 12 years, you never stole money. And I'm like, but I was more shocked at the thought that he did a BI on me. So, well, here I am. I was appointed May 8th. I took office May 15 and I was confirmed May 31. And Boracay was closed April 26. So imagine that. I was going, oh my gosh. I became the DOT secretary and we just closed the top tourist destination. But I can say right now, not then, because at that time for about a month I was only sleeping an hour a day because I was thinking of all the problems. Right now I can say that I'm in my happy place, promoting the best of the Philippines to the world. Now, the tourism industry is considered as one of the major contributors to the economy. As of 2017, the Philippine Statistics Authority reported that tourism contributed 12.2% to the country's gross domestic product. For the same period, employment in tourism was estimated at 5.3 million, or 13.06% of total employment. In 2018, we just announced it last week, despite the closure of Boracay, my biggest fear, to put things into perspective, we receive about 1 million foreign tourists in a year. So the closure of Boracay was, we lost 500,000 tourists. But despite that, foreign tourist arrivals in the Philippines reached 7.1 million, which was a 7.65% growth from the previous year. The highest ever recorded in our country. So may partida na yan, ha? Close na yung Boracay. So we were up by 7.65%. On the other hand, domestic arrivals have already reached 97 million. Our goal for the NTDP for 2022 was only 86 million. But it has already reached 97 million, meaning Filipinos now love traveling all over the country. And thank you for that. The DOT, together with its 16 regional offices and 8 attached agencies, is tasked to formulate tourism policies, programs, and projects in order to develop the tourism industry as a major contributor to the economy. We recognize that the interagency collaboration is important. So that's why we have a convergence program with the DPWH, the DOTR, and even the DOJ for immigration. Every day I probably receive text messages saying, complaining about the immigration, the long lines in the immigration. But this is under the DOJ. But thankfully, I'm close touch with my colleagues. I even received a text once saying that I had to save the country from the traffic problem. But that's actually under the DOTR. Or anything, I think anything connected already is my problem. But again, that's our task, is to coordinate with the other departments. Just last week, the DOT, together with its partners and stakeholders, conducted a review of the National Tourism Development Plan. That's the master plan for tourism. The goal of this activity was to revisit goals, because for 2022, our goal was only 10% of GDP. We've already reached, as I've said, 12.2. Our goal for 2022 was only 86 million domestic tourist arrivals. We've already reached 97. The NTDP has given us a clear path towards a competitive and sustainable tourism industry. But this path cannot be traversed by the government alone. We are only one of many key characters in this pursuit of a prolonged prosperity brought about by a responsible and environmentally sound tourism industry. The development we have seen in terms of upgrading our connectivity infrastructure must continue for us to attract even more investments to the country. Our steadfast stand for a better Boracay has now sprung a nationwide action to ensure sustainability in other destinations, not just the leading ones, but for our emerging tourist spots as well. The challenging act of closing down Boracay, our country's flagship sun and beach destination, has evidently become a blessing in disguise for secondary tourism spots to have a share of the limelight and attention that they truly deserve. In fact, the reason why tourist arrivals increased despite the closure of Boracay was because they were led to Siargao, Pampanga, Bicol, and other major tourist destinations. It shows that turning off the faucet when the water isn't clear can bring a fresher flow in just an unexpected period of time. With this, we have also seen that transition from a mass tourism perspective shifting into high-value tourism direction that prioritize quality over mere quantity. We have exceeded many of our NTTP targets. And we will maintain accountability for what we have projected and give credit where it is due. We have a wonderful partnership with our private sector stakeholders. A key ingredient in this success. This must continue flawlessly for the remainder of our time-bound plan and of course beyond 2022. We subscribe to the World Tourism Organization definition of sustainable tourism, which is tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. Based on my experience as a former agriculture official and policymaker, a sector cannot significantly contribute to the economy if it is not sustainable. That can't be emphasized enough. We assure you that our actions in Boracay are already being replicated in other tourist destinations needing rehabilitation. We will enjoin concerned government agencies and LGUs to strictly enforce relevant business and environmental laws. We have already started our efforts on rehabilitating our top tourist sites such as El Nido, Panglao, soon Coron, and Siargao. We will continue to advocate responsible tourism that will engage society in promoting positive values, protecting the nation's environmental, historical, and cultural heritage, and inculcating pride in being a Filipino. Actually, I'm surprised that this was the slide that was shown. This was the slide that was I saw last, I think, September. I went incognito to El Nido, and I went to one of the big lagoons. And I was in shock when I saw this picture. You can see a lot of the tourists cooking on top of the boats. And before my very eyes, they were throwing trash in the lagoon. Not only that, at the end of this boat, you can see a bathroom. And the bathroom has nothing underneath. So when whatever they do, it goes straight to the ocean. So I immediately got in touch with the El Nido mayor and complained about this. And at first she said that it can't be done. I said, no, what are you talking about? You already have a local ordinance saying that you prohibit cooking on top of the boats in the big lagoon. So why aren't you enforcing it? And she said, because it's hard. I said, then why even have a local ordinance? So that's our task now. And we recently imposed a carrying capacity in both the big and small lagoons. We've already also visited, the three of us, Secretary Simatu, Secretary Anyo, and myself, we visited El Nido, and we were shocked to see that in the city, the easement is, under the law, 20 meters. It was only 3 meters. In fact, I even saw a picture that it was 1 inch. And she said that they had passed a local ordinance. But please remember, national law always trumps a local ordinance. So, ibig sabihin, yung El Nido mayor just cared about money. And, the funny thing is when the three of us left El Nido, she was showing us all the nice things that they have done. So I asked my staff to stay and said, I have funny feeling about this mayor. I think she's two-faced. And true enough, when we left, of course, I told my staff to, everything that we saw that was so nice, all the boats came back, everything came back. And then somebody interviewed me on the radio and asked me about what I thought about that mayor. And I said, I think she's pakitang tao. The thing is, because I'm not running, so I really don't care if I fight with them. Yeah. It's just all about money. They even charge for 10 minutes, 1,500 pesos. It's just too much. And then the anchor was saying, nakikinig po si Mayor sa kabilang linya. I said, I don't care. I want her to listen to what I said. I think that she should walk the talk. Why even have all these local ordinances? Because on paper, I think she even won an award for the mayor that implements sustainable tourism. But she doesn't implement anything. So that's what our job is right now. The former DOT secretaries, whenever they go to different parts of the country, they're always welcomed by the mayors. Now they don't welcome me anymore because I always have a tape measure measuring the easement from the high tide up to, and then I immediately ask them they have to abolish because there has to be a 20-meter easement. In the case of Boracay, it's 25 plus 5 meters, so there's a 30-meter easement. So this is the heart of our advocacy, our driving principle to create a culture of sustainable tourism. This is a picture that I actually took of Boracay. Before Boracay was rehabilitated, the fecal coliform was at 1 million. Right now, it's only at 15. Yes. And together with Secretary Simatu and Secretary Anyo, if it goes over 100, no swimming will be allowed. Because we have to take care of the health of the tourists. Like what I always say, no business venture can flourish on profit alone. If it is not sustainable in itself, then it cannot make any significant contribution to its industry. In tourism, it is not the numbers that matters most, but ultimately how to strike a balance between business opportunities and our social responsibility. This is our unique mandate in tourism, to both sell and preserve, to ensure that the beauty of our country remains, while people get to enjoy a unique Philippine travel experience. Instilling a culture of sustainable tourism would entail a paradigm shift among all of us in the public and private sector alike, to change how we think about business, to care more about our environment, our natural gems, and our tourist attractions. We have not only set our sights on foreign travelers, we aim to attract domestic travelers as well. Our job is not about selling and promoting, but inspiring our fellow Filipinos to go around the Philippines, to take care of the environment. Please stop throwing trash. If you don't find the trash can, keep it. To give Filipinos a sense of appreciation and pride in what our country has to offer, first and foremost, our task. I'm happy to announce that the DOT will be an active partner in the Manila Bay Rehabilitation Project. We are actually not included in the Mandamos, the Supreme Court ruling cleaning up Manila Bay, but our colleagues included the DOT. Last Sunday, January 27, we took part in the initiative's launch held in the city of Manila. The DOT is once again excited to work alongside Secretary Simatu and Secretary Anyo and other government agencies who successfully rehabilitated Boracay. This initiative will restore Manila Bay to its former glory as a historic water landmark. The DOT will work on the following successful Boracay model or policy of no compliance to DENR and DILG, no DOT accreditation. Thus, no opening for business. So if you do not have your proper ECCs from the DENR, proper accreditation from the DILG, no DOT accreditation, you cannot open. We believe that the Boracay experience has become an effective template and speedy route to aligning to the path of sustainable tourism. We are happy to join hands with fellow government agencies, the LGUs, hopefully, in collaboration with the local tourism stakeholders and all the private establishments around it to help conserve the environment through various projects that shall rally all of us to be responsible tourists and responsible citizens. Together, we will make Manila Bay a revered and inclusive tourist destination once again. A spot where you can view the best, most breathtaking sunset while relaxing on a clean sea breeze, yung walang amoy. And a place that can actually benefit from an influx of tourists to become a source of livelihood for nearby communities. The Philippines has always been home to highly accomplished, intelligent, and capable women, as you can see in this ballroom today. As proof of this, the Philippines has consistently been in the top 10 of the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report. In 2018, it ranked 8th among 149 countries, with the highest scores in political empowerment and economic participation and opportunity. Because of this, the Philippines is now considered as one of the most gender-equal countries in Asia. The DOT itself is no stranger to women leaders, as there have been a number of female secretaries before me. I thank my predecessors for paving the way and setting the bar high for our industry. In fact, half of the DOT's workforce today, both regional and overseas, are made up of women. I can say that like other government agencies, we have made strides in advocating gender equity in the industry by recognizing women's contribution to tourism. I am privileged to be given the opportunity to lead a department that not only is progressive and forward-thinking, but one that also oversees an industry that significantly contributes to our GDP. This is certainly no small feat. We have made strides in breaking barriers and advocating gender equity since the establishment of the DOT's own Committee on Women and Development. But that is not to say our work is done. In fact, there is still a lot of work we need to improve the prospects of women and girls in the industry. Just last night, about 9 p.m., I was talking to our Chief of Staff, and one of those that we want to advocate is to stop sex tourism. As Tourism Secretary, I assure you that we will continue to champion the cause of women in the tourism sector. We shall continue our advocacy on gender equity through the implementation of gender-sensitive and responsive programs, projects, and activity under the NTDP in order to safeguard and protect women, children, and vulnerable groups, as well as raise awareness on gender equality. Tourism is a multifaceted industry. The only way to enhance it is through a holistic development of the sector. We will be advocates for an ecosystem of responsible tourism destinations, and we will be champions of sustainable tourism to create a dependable source of income for Filipinos. Given all the positive changes that we are pursuing, we need and invite the private sector, all the women here, to become our partners in responsibly developing tourism products, infrastructure, and services. We invite you to support and be part of an industry that not only helps the economic standing of the poorest in our society, but also encourages every Filipino to be the best tour guides and tourists in our beloved country. As the late Susan Calo Medina once told us every week, huwag maging dayuhan sa sariling bayan. Let us all be citizens proud of the beauty of our islands and its natural attractions. Let us all be citizens proud of a diverse and rich culture that is not only unique in Asia, but all over the world. And let us all be citizens proud of the fact that we are without the doubt the most fun people in the world. Maraming salamat po.